Hello everyone, Tim of Falconite here. This is part 1 of my Advanced Wars by Web's Road to 1000, the series in which I analyze my Global League matches and hopefully reach 1000 rating by the end. I'm not super experienced, but hopefully I can provide some insight into improving people's competitive play by showing what people do and what they do right and wrong, starting with lower level rating matches. This first match is going to be around the 800 mark, which is where everyone starts. It's the base level. So that's going to be today's match. It's going to match versus Ace 767. As you can see in the right here are the ratings after the match. So there's that. This was a match on the Hidden Edge map, and it was a tier 4 fog match. So let's start by taking a look at the map, because that's what you always want to do when you start off a game, is take a look at the map. So analysis for the map is here, but if you click on this, it gives you to this preview map screen that you can see here. And you can start by taking a look at this. As far as maps go, this is a pretty tall map, I would say. And the main two fronts are up here in the north and down here in the south. Now, why do I say that? Now, the reason I say that is because you have this comm tower up here and this comm tower down here. And those are your two main objectives for this map. Your HQs are situated far enough away from your opponent's bases that they're probably not going to come into play, and the capture limit on this map is 26 properties, so that's probably also not going to come into play. At least not before these comm towers come into play. If you're able to take both of these comm towers, you're gonna win. Is the gist of it, because your opponent's gonna have two bases next to their base, next to their HQ, and I guess a harbor too. So there's not really going to be much you're going to be able to push into there, and if you push anywhere else, like into the middle and stuff, your opponent's going to be able to just come in where you're leaving a gap. So I don't think that. So I guess the main objective for this map is going to be these two comm towers up here and down here. Now, strong side for player 1 is up here because they have the two bases. Strong side for player 2 is down here because they have the two bases. And basically you're going to see people pushing more so for these bases, and that's going to be the main objective for this map. So whenever you start a new map that you haven't played on before, you should always go ahead and click on this map analysis tab right here. That opens this nice handy little thing. Shows you the number of properties of each type and the CO data. There's actually a bit of a split, so it looks like player 2 has the advantage here, but honestly it doesn't matter too much, I find, in this map. Although that is something of note. So player 2 has, I think player 2 probably does have a slight advantage in this map, because they have this extra infantry and they're able to just push for this comm tower from their strong side a bit earlier, but we'll get into that a bit later. There's some stats over here, but the main thing for this is the CL data, and it helps. This gives you a nice once-over if you're not sure who to pick on who people will have picked the most in this match. Usually, you're going to want to make sure that in this chosen column that they've been played at least 50 times, because if they don't have more than 50 matches under their belt, you're not gonna have enough data for them. So that's basically all for this. And then you can click on map analysis. This is okay. I guess that just gets you back here. But then you can also click on this View Games page tab, and you can see all the games that are played on this map, you're gonna want to scroll down all the way down here to these completed games on Hidden Edge. You'll be able to see replays for basically whatever you want. So that's an important thing, just to get a layout of how the match will go, and what important things are to do on this map. So that's the map analysis for Tier 4. For a Tier 4 match, so there are CL tiers, and in Fog, these are the tiers. So anything above this is banned for this match, which leaves us with a few CLs that you can play. Adder, Flak and Jugger here. You can see them in Tier 4, but they're actually really bad in Global Leagues, so they're not allowed. Grim, Jake, Jess, Cole, and Sammy. But honestly, to be perfectly honest, the only real decisions in this one, only really viable ones, well, that's most of them, but Grim and Cole aren't really viable on this map. So if you go here, you can see all these win rates and stuff, but so I'm gonna say something real quick. The meta for this game has Jake as basically top of Tier 4, and in Standard, I think that's accurate. I think that's entirely accurate. Fog of War, however, I think Jess, in Fog, I do believe that Jess generally either is on par with Jake or surpasses him. And from the data for this map specifically, you can see that for the win rate, Jess here has a 60% win rate compared to Jake's 45. So there's definitely, you can definitely see that a little bit just in the raw data. Of course, this data is in and all be all. It doesn't include skill or anything like that. It doesn't include this this country advantage here. So that's not included in the data at all, but you can see that 60% win rate is it's at least a little bit of data that shows that Jess does really well on this map. And I think she does really well on a lot of small Fog maps as well. And the reasons why she shines in this map over Jake is because, so let's go over CL chart real quick. So Jake's basically better on planes. He has a planes bonus of 20 and 40 for his super and his power and super, and then he gets plus new movement on his super only, as well as this indirect thing, which I think is the indirect thing. I do like it a lot, but I think it's way better on Standard, in which people are able to in which you're able to threaten within indirect range a bit more, but in Fog I think it's a lot less relevant. And then you can scroll down to Jess here, and you can see that she gets the same bonuses that Jake gets on planes for her vehicles exclusively. Her other units, her foot soldiers and battlecopters being the main, being the only really important ones, are worse. So that is a severe, especially the foot soldiers, the infantry being impacted by this, that is a severe downgrade for Jess. But the upside is she gets the movement bonus on her power as well as her superpower. So that's the main difference between those two. And I picked Jess on this mainly because I like the power flexibility and being able to use all this terrain and still get her vehicle bonus. But honestly, they're very close, and I would say on most maps they're basically equal, at least most Fog maps. So let's go ahead and jump into the replay for this match. So start here. So starts with a pretty standard infantry thing, but I'm going to start turn 2. This is his first mistake. Not that move, this move. As you can see on his weak side, he moves back with his infantry. And what you'll see that I do is I move forward with my infantry. Now, the reason why this is super important on this map is because of these comm towers right here. Now, I will say that in most maps, rushing for the comm tower is a bit of a mistake, because at that point you're pushing far behind your line, far further than you're really able to reinforce with. You're just sending them out to die basically if your opponent sends out a recon or something. It's not a very good idea. You're just throwing out your infantry for no reason. But this map is super small, so you're able to reinforce really quickly in this area. A tank can get like right around here. A tank with +1 move can hit anything that's on the comm tower. +2 move, it can reach the comm tower from basically any of these bases. So that's the main reason for this base, that just rushing for the comm tower and getting that secured first thing is super important. So moving back like that, honestly, I think that might have costed the game. But it's questionable because yeah, if he had moved in, he would have been able to take that. He would be able to have it this turn. He would have been able to he would have kept it now. I wouldn't have had this, and it would have been for the rest of this match. We would have been even on comm towers, and that's gonna make a lot of difference. Because I'm gonna have that 10% bonus this entire match. He's gonna have no bonus this entire match, and then I go for the comm tower here, cap, because, well, I've got the recon here backing me up. So if he tries to move in with his infantry and punish me for that, he can go ahead and do that. He's got a recon here, so he's able to knock me off of the comm tower. But this is potentially delaying him even further. If this infantry wasn't actually in range of the comm tower anyway, but if it were in range, I would have been able to use that to my advantage. And here's my first mistake for this match. So you're presented with two targets here: this infantry and this recon. If you have a recon here, there's only really one correct thing to attack here. I agree with, and I think that moving here is the correct move. But the issue is what I do here, is I fire on the recon. Now, it ends up being okay. Gonna go ahead and use the damage calculator. It's right up here. It's really useful. You can click select and just grab the units as is. So it's a pretty good, it's an okay engagement here. I get the max damage and he rolls max damage anyways for the 6 health. So he gets lucky, I get lucky. It basically evens out. But really, what I should have done was just attacking his infantry, because then it's moved down to 7 or 8 health. I mean, 7 or 8 health, 2 or 3 health, and it's not going to be able to do much except block for the rest of the game. So, but I go for this instead. It ends up working sort of okay, but definitely not the best move. And the reason why, and yeah, basically attacking recon into recon, even with Jess, even if with Jess's extra firepower isn't really going to give you much. But I go ahead and back off of here. I've got, oh yeah, here's the other thing, is I built this artillery here. Artillery are incredibly useful on this map. They're always all you have to do is move them in one turn, and they're able to just pew on anything that hits this, that walks into this comm tower, the entire match. And I'm going to get a lot of pews off this entire match. And another reason why you pick Jess over Jake is because of this show tile, and this show tile, and I guess this forest. But basically the artillery on this map are much better if you just leave them on this shoal, because they can just move in and do this turn 1. It's further away. It's a lot easier to defend. You got this little choke point over here. It's very nice, very nice to hold on to. So he moves in, rushes my infantry, probably trying to put a hole in there so I can reach my artillery, but he's not going to get it. This attack, I don't think that I don't think that full HP recon barrels are good, but ramming your recon into my recon when you're 6 health, no, all you're going to do is weaken it further. So that was an awful move on his part, awful move. But goes ahead and moves in with his tank here. he moves his recon into the forest here so I can see here, and it's out of my range of my artillery, so that's good on him. Solid move on his part. Build a tank down up here to try and break through this wall probably. So I spot his recon in the woods, and then I just leave those 2 infantry there, because nice little infantry. Yeah, I got a nice little infantry wall over here. Going over here. I'm not going to do much against to throw that out of here. Now at this point, I see the tank here. At this point, honestly, well, let's take a look at the map, because this might have been worth. Yeah, at this point, it would have been better to just take the shot off on his recon. And the reason you do that here is because I could kill it. And a dead recon, I think that's worth attacking your recon for. Plus, I'm not sure what else this infantry is going to do. Plus, I see this tank here. It's gonna, if I attack the tank, if the tank moves in, he can, and tries to knock me off of here, I can move in with my tank to reinforcing tank. So that's nice. But instead, I do it like this, which is it's fine, I guess. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He moves in to try and take the comm tower, which I agree with. And the reason why you do this, even if you see all this stuff around here, is so that you can potentially draw fire from your scare you units. Taking a shot. Now, so the way you do this is, okay, here's what happens. Either your opponent lets you take the comm tower or the property, and that's good. It's a win-win for you, because either you get the property, or your opponent starts throwing units at it, like this tank or this recon or something like that, and they waste their shots on the infantry. Your infantry takes all those shots when, and that saves your other units like your tanks or your recons from taking that damage. And since these units are worth a lot more, that's definitely worth it. So he takes out my recon, moves in with his other units, finishes off my infantry, which is fine. He keeps his little position in the forest for now, which is fine. He moves in, tries to contest this, but I go, nope, get off of there. Kerblamo. This artillery does a lot of work in this map, by the way. I take it off completely with my infantry, moving in scout like this. And you'll see in a second, but this little wall over here lets me just take a shot at his recon, and I even move in with my infantry. Now, this is actually a fairly unlucky roll for me, because I don't actually kill it. It's fairly likely that I actually killed it, because if I go into the damage here, you got this into this, which is going to do more than 8 damage. And this by the way, stays. So, I basically have to do, at most I have to do 19 damage in order to, with my infantry, in order to get the kill here, which I can do fairly easily. But so it was fairly likely that I got the kill here with both of these rolls. Sadly it didn't happen. He still got his 1 HP recon, and that's always an annoying thing, is when you don't get lucky. But oh well, it ends up not mattering too much. But this recon, I think it does a good amount of stuff. I can still walk, can still see. So, but I can't really hit my artillery here for any damage at all, which is really what I was worried about most, I think. And this was another bad move on my part. Well, I say that like I just had another bad move, but it's been a little while. But here's a really bad move on my part. Never do this. Never attack on stuff. Never move your recon into the roads, basically. Unless your opponent has 20% extra firepower on your tanks. Because, as you will see, yeah, I take care of that, take a shot there, knock him off there. I'll get into what I was talking about in a second, but so I bowed recon, infantry, 2nd artillery to hold this down. As you can see, what I've done with these walls here, you got this wall here, this wall here. This tank can't reach my artillery. This tank also can't reach my tank. But what it can do, so it moves in like that. What it can do, it takes that out. So now, it's got a nice little shot on my recon from the planes. So 10% firepower, and you're always able to take out basically a one-shot recon on roads. See that? It's always possible. This is with anything that has plus 10% firepower. So never, never, never put your recon on roads when your opponent probably has 10% firepower if they're disposal. If it reaches 20%, well, that doesn't really matter, because at that point, yeah, 20% actually it does matter. 30% starts mattering a little less, because at that point they might kick you out in planes anyways, and if you have the choice between roads and upper terrain, you usually go for the upper terrain. But yeah, he goes in to try and take out my wall a little bit. Now, technically speaking, he can move in here to take out him with his tank here, but at this point, but he moved his infantry back, his recon back too early, so he can't see it. So he has to move it into the forest here. So really, what he should have done was well, actually, he's always been able to do that. Has he? Hold on. Why does it show? Okay, I guess he isn't able to. Which is fine by me. That's better, honestly. So I thought he didn't just go for the artillery, which, if he had, that would have been a bit of an overextension, by the way. And I would have been able to nail him with this other stuff. So I wouldn't have... That wouldn't have been the best move, but... Anyways. And then he could have started a chain going down here, and that would have been a pretty good change for him, I think, because he'd have the defense from the forest there, but he didn't. He went up here, which I think is an okay move. It's fine. Start the cap down here again. Get him off of the comm tower here again, and move him like that. Finish that guy off. Move in and finish that recon off finally. Move in with a tank. Even, which I don't like that move. I don't really like that move, but I did it, so whatever. And the reason I don't like that move is because now this tank's in range of a lot of stuff. I should have at least attacked from this plains if I was going to attack at all. But I think the better move here would have been to fall back here and guard my artillery. But I'm not punished for that, so it ends up not mattering too much for this map, but yeah, that's this one. And then here's another move, which I really like from me. So I move in this artillery into vision range of this tank. Think that's a bad idea? And it is kind of a bad idea if I just do that, but I reinforce with this infantry to cut off this choke point, and then I move in with a tank like this. So now this artillery is guarding this tank here, so he can't push in against this tank at all if he wants to not take the shot from the artillery. So that's how you pressure with artillery in fog. You move them in first so that your opponent can see them, and then you build walls around them so that you guard. It's a lot easier to threaten standard with indirects, but yeah, I guess that's another topic. So I'll get back to it later. He knocks my infantry, basically knocks my infantry off of this comm tower, but not quite. Takes another shot at my infantry to weaken my forces down there. Knocks me off of my own comm tower. Takes a shot at the recon. Punishes me for overextending over here. he gets me all the way down to 1 health. So he moves in with his other units. This is an interesting move on his part. He goes a 1 health infantry to 1 health infantry. For modes on the plains, damage calculator for this. Sure, I like this move. It's basically just tossing away your infantry for no reason. And because it's fog, well, it's always useful to have this because you can always use them for blockers and making people use up attacks. But it's especially useful in fog because you can just hide them in the forest and then it uses up 2 actions instead of 1. And then I don't know what he's doing with his artillery. He built it and he's like, well, I don't really have much that I can defend with over here, so if he really wants to, if I move in with my artillery at all, he can attack with his tanks or whatever, so. But I wouldn't move him all the way up here. And I don't know what he's doing with his artillery this entire match. It's a really bad artillery, by the way. Should have built a tank if this was all he's going to do with his artillery. But I go ahead and activate my power here. So the reason I do that is because I want to fall back to this city with this tank, and I figure may as well have a nice firepower defense boost for the rest of the turn. So I go ahead, start taking some shots, and I fall back to that city because 1 health tank. The difference between a 1 health tank and a 3 health tank it's pretty insane, I must say. So 1 health tank can get bopped by basically anything. 3 health tank can't. So let's just do this recon real quick. So 1 health versus 3 health. So basically, if I get it up to 3 health, he can't just take it out with his artillery and recon. He's going to need to use a tank or something better like that for that. So I reinforce here and threaten the cap on this comm tower again, which is really good for me. Moving with the artillery. So again, reveal my artillery before taking out the tank and making sure that he can't really do anything with his tank to my artillery. That's how you threaten with indirect in this game. And in theory, it should get this tank off of this area entirely. But he might want to move in and take out stuff on the comm tower, so we'll see what he does. But I move in with these other units to help guard over here, build a medium tank here, because at this point I figure, well, I got 18,000 funds, may as well build a medium tank. And I build it on the weak side here. Building medium tanks on your weak side it's a fine move. It's an okay move because it helps reinforce whatever you have up there anyways, and for whatever reason I've got a way stronger weak side than my strong side. I think most of the reason for that is because I've been pushing my infantry up into here a bit, and I've been pumping a lot of units into this meat grinder over here, so that's an issue. But it's been working out so far because I've been winning down here. But yeah, that's my turn. Now it's his turn. He goes ahead and takes out infantry, moves in, and then he takes a shot. And there he starts capping, interrupts that. Was even with the recon like that, and then even though I can't take this for another turn, he just goes ahead and does it. Okay. In theory, my microphone is back on. So, I do not like this move at all. I must say, I don't like this move at all. You should have either gone for the tank or just backed off entirely with that, because at this point, and then he builds what's really dumb is, so he goes for the battlecopter down here, which I think is okay. I might have gone for the medium tank down here. He goes for a battlecopter, which is fine if he follows up with a tank down here. For this side, because really, what's he going to be able to do up here at this point? But That's stupid artillery. Anyways, he goes infantry, anti-air infantry. Now, I will say, in most matches, building an anti-air day 11 is a bit late. But against Jess, and especially on this map, because of where the airports are kind of hard to get to. So, building a preemptive anti-air against Jess, especially on a small map like this where you're able to reinforce these areas super easily, I don't like it. Battlecopter I think is fine though. But yeah, that's something that I don't really like at all. So I go in, I basically knock out his tank with my artillery here, so there's that. Take a shot at recon, start capping there, reinforce there. Now I go to my weak side, take out his 9 health tank, which I think that was basically just guaranteed. Okay, so when I say guaranteed, it's more of like it's a roll, but you know what I mean. It's a roll. I could have followed up with the infantry there maybe. And I have another tank here, so I could have followed with that. Finish that off because there's nothing in range, except maybe there. But there's definitely nothing in range that can hurt my medium tank, so I reinforce with the 3 health tank maybe. Cap. No, it's his turn. So he goes ahead and pops his super. It's a last ditch effort, but at this point it's not going to matter. So he scouts out my artillery, moves in with his anti-air to take out my 3 health tank. Never do that. Never just YOLO your anti-air into the front lines to take out a 3 health unit. Why would you? Anyways. And then he moves in with his tank to do some damage to my artillery, which it's a good little shot, but this is the damage from forests. This is the damage that he would have if he were Jess, or so. See that? Yeah, you can still do a little bit with a 4 health artillery, I must say. But at this point, he just resigns because he's done. I basically got this comm tower here, down here secure. I got this property here, so I'm gonna win in the income game. I'm about to flip over to winning in the income game, and then from the other things that he doesn't necessarily know is I'm ahead in units and in unit number and value, but like you can feel it more or less when you're winning in those areas. And I've definitely got map control because I've got both of the main objectives. So yeah, and to think that a simple difference between going for this city and going for this is what might have cost in the game, because that extra 10% firepower could have theoretically added up to a lot for this match. But yeah, that's this replay. I'm gonna go over another game on this map really quick, actually. So this is another match against a Sammy player on this map. It's really quick, so I'm just gonna click through it real quick. But it's basically going to show the same thing, and this time I'm player 1, so it shows that the artillery are just as capable on this map as the previous one. In this map I kind of go even further YOLO for the comm towers instead of balancing it out a little bit and going for income. No, stupid error. This error occurs all the time when you're using transport, so APCs and T-coffee just happens all the time with, but builds, I don't think that, so by the way, as Sammy, you don't always want to just build transports. You're going to want some recons and tanks, especially recons, because I think that's the main thing that fucked her up for this, is not just pushing infantry into there and not having any vision, because you can't see anything here. Look at that. You can't see anything. Completely blind. So that's the main issue here. I don't even know whatever. These APCs, they were expensive, and so look at that. That's an extra tank she could have had, either up here or down here, and that would have been super useful because I don't have anything that really deals with it. In fact, it's artillery, I guess, but tank recon would have been super useful here. Not going for Vis early is hurting her a lot. And that's basically the issue with it. She forfeits right here because at this point she's got nothing. There's nothing she can do because she didn't build recon. She didn't build. She didn't go for the objectives. I've already got both objectives under my control. Now she does have a lot of income. That is a lot of income, but it's not going to help when you're down 20%. Well, 30% really firepower, because on all of your important units, well, except for infantry. But I can just spam. Just can just spam recon against Sammy infantry, and that'll do a bunch. And then mechs need the first strike in order to do anything really, and they only have 2 moves, so it's going to be really hard for her to do anything with that. So you need tanks, and now that you have a 30% deficit, no, that's a 40% deficit actually, because her direct units her tanks have a firepower loss as well. So that's it. That's basically it for this match as well. Her main mistake, again, not going for the comm towers early enough on this small map, because it's super easy to contest, and grabbing it early. Well, honestly, you should have probably had some artillery or something. I really like my artillery strategy for this. It's a really good opener for this map, in my opinion. And Sam could have done it too, because only her directs are bad. So her tanks are bad, her recons are bad, her artillery fine. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have for this map. I'm planning on putting these out like every Wednesday or so, and then I'm gonna also have a couple longer form, more scripted content eventually. Planning a Jess versus Jake and Fog. Jess versus Jake and Fog video, so expect that eventually. But I'm gonna keep putting these videos out every week on Wednesdays probably. Next week it's gonna be this 1v1 Verdun match, in which I lost to Sturm versus Sasha, so keep an eye out for that. That's a mid-800s level map, I guess. Although I think step 6 was around 900, maybe, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to say 850-ish is around the level for that rating. So you can see me lose on next week if you tune in. So that's about all I have for this week. Well, maybe you guys can tune in next week. Otherwise, peace.